rivalry,
overjoyed, cheerful, kindness, rock, laugh, amaze, wonder, smiles, laws.
How I did propagation cuttings of this rose. In 1992, when we moved into this place, when we moved in here, right here where I'm filming, there was a rose. And it was always such a pretty neat rose, and I figured that the people put the rose bush there because, as you can see, there's a drain pipe coming off of our garage that would feed it the rainwater and keep it watered pretty good. As you can see, the rose bush finally died out, and around 95 and 96, I started trying to propagate that rose along this rail here to line our parking area, and I did pretty good with taking rose cuttings off of it from all the way up to 2000, but I never had 100% effective because I was trying to place one rose at the end of every one of those rails. So I had 5 or 6 roses out there, and I could never get them to go as good as this bush over here was. But they all died out. Not only did they all die out, the actual rose bush died out. And I'm thinking maybe I fertilized it too much. That brings me to my project that I was doing with propagating another rose. That when my dad passed away in 98, and we had a service back in our hometown for him, a cousin sent a rose to the service, and my mom gave me the rose because she knew what I was doing with roses. And so I planted it here. This is the original. And you can see that by planting it near that fence line, everything has grown up into it and I can't keep it. But I took a cutting around 2000 off of that one and moved the second one over here. And this is the same rose bush with the cutting. And the same thing that produces a nice flowering rose. And the same thing happened by a lot of junk growing into it because it's along that fence line. The fence line I thought would help the rose be able to climb like it does, but the fence line collects tree seeds, which grows up in there, and I never kept them. I couldn't keep them cleaned out, and so now that rose is got a lot of stuff that needs to be cleaned out. So I thought that I'd take cuttings from it and do a video of how I do the cuttings, and this time I'd put them away from the fence line enough for my mower to be able to get through there and keep enough space in between the cuttings so I can get a mower for it. I think I'm only going to put, I think these are going to be the only two. I may do a third one. This cutting is doing great. And here was the other cutting. And I thought it wasn't starting, but down there at the very base, you can see that it's starting to take off. So that cutting may make it. I really won't say that they made it until we get through a winter, and I'll show you how I did these cuttings from this rose bush, which was a cutting from the original rose plant that I got that was given to me by a cousin for my dad's memorial funeral service. I always try to get cuttings by the first or second bloomings of the year. So I get my best work on doing cuttings to get the cuttings to grow by doing them in either late spring or very early summer. I take cuttings at branch points or points where the new growth is splitting off. I cut the blooms off, but I leave the leaves on. Some people, though, go ahead and they cut off the leaves, so they only use the stems for their cuttings. And when you make your cut on the cuttings, do a diagonal cut down the stem way, so more of the stem is exposed, so when you use it with the rooting compound. The tools I used I used 2 plastic milk jugs, the root compound, a small hand spade, pruners and scissors, and you see pliers in the pictures. I did not use the pliers. I thought I might need the pliers to pull away the plastic parts of the milk jugs as I cut the milk jugs. But of course a watering jug, and a watering jug is needed to water your cuttings every day that it doesn't rain. And with these pruners and scissors, really nice sharp pruners. Pruners are how you make your cuttings off of the rows. But my pruners were not that sharp, and so I ended up I took the scissors to make the cuts, and the scissors in this case worked okay. They worked good. I used a long stick as a measuring device to measure me away from the fence. I wanted to plant these cuttings away from the fence this time, and I also wanted the cuttings to be spaced that exact same space apart from one another, because I was using this spacing to allow my mower, with also the attachment to which attaches to blow the grass out. I wanted that much space between the fence line and the cuttings, and I wanted that much space in between each cutting to allow the mower to get in between them. In doing the cutting, in doing the milk jugs, basically I took the scissors point and punched a hole into the jug at the point that I'd be trying to cut. And basically all you're trying to do is cut at a point before the milk jug goes to the top, so you have a leveled off section, so that when you place the plastic milk jug over the roses or over the cuttings, it will level up to the ground. Then I place a rock on top of the milk jugs. Once I place the milk jugs on top of the cuttings, the rock, I want something that will stay on the milk jug to stop the milk jug on windy days from blowing off. And what I can tell you is I used the milk jugs I left the milk jugs on the cuttings for about 10 days, took the milk jugs off, and then simply just kept watering. When you have the milk jugs on, you still water. I was watering around the outside of the milk jugs, which the water then seeps in. And the milk jugs hopefully help to energize the stem to get the new cutting to grow, to get the new roots to grow. And a major step that I do as I'm digging the holes with the hand spade, I let the cuttings soak in one of the jugs with water, soaking the part of where I'm going to put the root cutting on, or the root compound on. And then once I get ready to place the cuttings into the ground, I take the stem and I dip it into the root compound, shake off maybe just a little excess of it, and then I place it in the ground and surround it with the dirt to firm up the cuttings so that it will be able to be firmly in the ground. And then I put the milk jug over the top, and then it's just a matter of watering it daily. Of the two cuttings, I thought the one where I had more branches, it did really well. And the cutting that I didn't have too many branches on, I thought wasn't gonna take. But the first cutting, the cutting that bloomed and took off really well. In the last couple of days, I've noticed the other cutting has growth down at the base of the stem of the second smaller cutting. And so it looks like it's going to be a good rose too. It looks like it will eventually grow out and develop. Only time will tell. And as time goes on, I'll continue to give updates on these two cuttings. So it took about 2 months from the time I took the cutting to have two new roses growing on the one that had two blooms, and roughly about 2 months for the cuttings to show progress, to show that they're doing good. If anyone can tell me the best way and time of how to dig out the first two roses that you saw that I showed along the fence line, of which these cuttings are coming from these two original roses, if you can tell me the best way to dig them out so I can clean out the trees that are trying to grow into them and the other plants that are trying to grow into them, so I can clean them out to give the roses a better chance to keep growing of the original two roses, I sure would appreciate it. Just please leave me comments and or direct me to how to get in to find your information on how to fix those two roses. Thank you for watching. Please leave comments and any questions, and I'll try to respond to you. Thanks so much. I hope this was really helpful in helping you to take cuttings of roses and have good luck with your roses.
This is your old YouTuber ROCKlaws clicking the save button and the upload button. Saying may all your days be great until we meet again. Take care and smile. If you like this video, please click my red subscribe button and my bell to be reminded of my newest videos.
You can also follow me on Twitch TV at ROCKlaws, Instagram /ROCKlaws59, Twitter /ROCKlaws59. This is a Piece of Outside video production. Music by www.bensound.com.
Voices by ML Warriors. You can find us at https://www.youtube.com/c/ML Warriors. Thank you.